Some stats about me. I'm 6 feet tall. I weigh 160 pounds. My foot size is 9.5. At Nike, I'm a sample size. Sample means that you are about as average and ordinary as it comes. However, my goal was something that was truly extraordinary. I wanted to become the champion of the Ironman triathlon. Now, to do that, I had to swim 2.4 miles in the open ocean off the coast of Kona in about 50 minutes, get out of the water, bike 112 miles along the hot, windy west side of the Big Island, averaging 25 miles an hour, which is pretty much the speed limit on every residential street in the US. Get off my bike at 12:30 in the afternoon, the hottest point of the day on the hottest of all the Hawaiian Islands, run a marathon, 26.2 miles, averaging 6 minutes and 10 seconds every mile. If I could do that, I would be the Ironman champ. You guys ready to sign up? Anything less than that, and somebody else was going to walk away with the title. I'm probably most famous for my first Ironman victory in 1989. I was 31 years old. I had tried 6 years to win that amazing race. 6 years I had fallen short. I could be in the lead, I could challenge the best in the world, but I couldn't hold it all the way to the finish line. And I always tell people, the person who wins the race isn't the guy who leads the longest, it's the first guy to cross that line. But I couldn't do it. But finally in 1989, I had a classic battle with an incredible competitor named Dave Scott. We were side by side for over 8 hours of racing. On the final uphill before you drop down to the finish line, I was able to pull away to win the first of those victories, winning by a mere 58 seconds, a very small difference on a very long day. But the story that I want to share with you today is of my final Ironman victory, or my final Ironman attempt at victory in 1995. And the reason is that my world had changed at that point in my career. I had won five Ironman titles. I was indeed coming back hoping to win my 6th title. However, in 1995, I was 37 years old. In your industry, that's probably not too old, but as an endurance athlete, I was ancient, I was a fossil, and when all the young guys, my toughest competitors, heard that I was coming back, guys that were 10 and 15 years younger than me, they said, "Come on, Mark, we're going to chew you up and spit you out all over that lava." Because they knew that at 37, I could no longer train the way they did at 25 or 30 or 32 or 33. I could no longer do the training that I had done in previous years that earned me those 5 other Ironman titles. I focused on 3 specific areas to hopefully be prepared to take that race, to take that final title. And these 3 areas are areas of focus that I use today when I'm approaching any challenge, whether it's in my life in business, as a father. I don't race anymore. I feel like I've done that pretty well. But anyway, those 3 areas, the first was to ask myself, what is the work that my goal is asking me to do to accomplish the success that I'm after? What is the work the Ironman wants me to do to be the champion? Now, often we do what's comfortable, right? But the work of our goals may be very different. To win the Ironman, I had to do days that simulated the race, which meant that I had to do 5 days throughout the year where I would swim 30 minutes, get out of the water, bike 7 hours, get off my bike, and run 30 minutes. That's an 8-hour training day. The Ironman takes about 8 hours to finish if you're going to win it. Those 5 days added that's about 40 hours of work that I did throughout the entire year that were absolutely key to my success as an Ironman champion. If I didn't do those days, I didn't have a chance of winning. If I did them, I might have a chance of winning. The challenge was that I didn't like to do those days. I mean, I'm like everybody else in this world here. I have a slight allergic reaction to huge volumes of work, but I needed to do it. What do you have facing you that you know is absolutely critical to your success that you are avoiding doing? What is the one thing that you know you have to do to achieve the goal that you're after that's not comfortable for you to do? Having that answer is what can propel you to that top level in your world. The second area of focus that I had was to have a willingness to adjust the way I trained, the way I did my work, based on its effectiveness in that ever-changing environment called the real world. What got us success in the past may not be what's going to take us to success in the future, right? Especially in the modern world as it is today. Things are changing so rapidly. As a 37-year-old athlete, as you heard, I could no longer train the same way that those young guys did. If I did, if I trained the way I had as a younger triathlete, I would burn out. A burned out triathlete does not win the Ironman. On any given day, I was going to have to cut back my training anywhere from 25 to 50% from what I had done in the past. Have you ever had to do the same or better results with 25 to 50% less resources available to you? You know what I'm talking about? Where was I going to make that up? The way that I focused to make that up was to develop that internal strength of character that would help me bring more of who I was into that endeavor. And I'll tell you some of the stories of how I did that. But when we are fully engaged, that's when we have our best efforts, isn't it? Things that are certain, things that we know we can do, they rarely provide us with true experiences of living. If it's a big challenge, we are fully engaged. When we are fully engaged, we are fully living. You know, I mean, if you go to the grocery store, you know it's pretty certain, right? You rarely come home and rave about how, wow, I went to Whole Foods and I found the bananas, and then after that I found the discount on dish soap, and then the guy at the cash register gave me the exact change. No, these aren't the things that we talk about. The things we talk about that fully engage us are the things that do have uncertainty, the things where we have to be fully engaged, and those are the moments, the experiences that bring out the best in us. Winning Ironman at age 37 was something that nobody had ever done before in history. I was attempting to do something that nobody had ever done. That got me fully engaged. But again, I had to change my training if I was going to have any hope of winning. The final area of focus that I worked on in 1995 was to have an absolute commitment to completion. Now, what does that mean? A commitment to completion says that even though I've won 5 races, I am still going to do the 15,000 miles of training that will hopefully get me ready to be the Ironman champion. I'll do that work. A commitment to completion says, as you heard Ron say, I'll step back for a moment and ask myself, what is it about this endeavor that has importance to me in here? Not importance to anybody else, but why is this important to me to try? We can use that vision to carry us past those moments where other people may quit, or a lesser self of who we are might quit if we did not have that vision of why we have putting importance into these endeavors that we're putting out there. A commitment to completion says, I'm not going to join all the other people who are saying this is impossible. I'm going to be the one leading the charge to find the answers and the solutions to take this dream to a reality. You know, my family and friends are saying, don't you think you're too old for this? Shouldn't you get another job, or start coaching or anything that doesn't use your body so much? And I said, this has meaning to me. I'm going to give it a try. You know, I've won 5 of these. I could retire with that. But if I win one more, I will win 6 titles. There was another triathlete named Dave Scott who won 6 Ironman titles. If I can do it, I will tie the record that represented the best our sport had to offer. Now, in January, I started training. In June of that year, 1995, I did a test Ironman. It was in Japan. And I wanted to see how I was doing as a 37-year-old, if I'd made the right adjustments to my training. I won it. The time was about 8.5 hours. It wasn't fast, but it was a victory. And I thought, you know what? I am on pace here. I am on track. Well, 2 weeks after I did my test race, there was another Ironman in Germany. And all the guys 10 and 15 years younger than me were at that race. The winning time in Germany was almost 20 minutes faster than I'd just gone 2 weeks previous in Japan. If I was with those young guys in their test race, when the leader came across the finish line, I would have had over 3 miles to go in my marathon. And I'm thinking, this is impossible. There is no way I could train for the next 20 years. I can't compete with those guys. Well, fortunately, 2 weeks after that, I had a retreat planned with a gentleman named Brant Secunda, who teaches about a way of life from the Indians in central Mexico called the Huichol Indians. The Huichol Indians have a saying that says, it's not over until it's over, meaning no matter how impossible something might look right now, take that next step, put that next thing in place, because in the next moment, it can turn around for you. Brant would also teach me that the Huichol Indians value the ability to quiet their minds. They say, when our minds are quiet, then we can hear the answers to the big questions in life. When we turn off all that internal chatter that can derail our efforts. Have any of you ever had that little voice in there that's not helping you out? Yeah, you know how that is. Well, in an Ironman, that little voice tries to come up many, many, many times, and I had to be able to learn to quiet that voice. I went to a retreat with Brant 2 weeks after the German race, and I showed up, and I'd been studying with him now for a number of years. He said, "You going to win Ironman in October this year?" And I said, "You going to help me?" He kind of looked at me, and he goes, "Boy, you need some help this year." And so for 8 days, while all my training partners were swimming, cycling, and running, I worked with Brant to help develop that internal strength of character that would help me bring more of who I was into that endeavor called the Ironman. That's what you're doing here, isn't it? You're developing ideas and solutions and dreams for things that will help you bring more of who you are into the endeavors that are important for you. But I looked at absolutely everything I could in 1995. I took my running shoes, I found a new lacing system that I could put in there that would save me about 10 seconds in transition from bike to run. 10 seconds is a small amount, but why not? I found a new material that had less drag in the water than our skin. You probably saw a lot of the Olympic swimmers with these sleek suits. I called up Nike, I said, "Hey, if you can make me a suit that covers my torso, my upper body, it'll save me about 45 seconds in the swim in Kona this year, and that'll be huge." They said, "Right out to you." Well, right out to you didn't happen. The suit arrived 2 days before the race. I yanked open the FedEx package, I pulled it out, I looked at it, and I thought, uh-oh, big problem here. You see, this thing didn't have the sleek styling that the Olympics swimmers had on their suits. This thing looked like it had been dragged out of my wife's side of the closet. I was totally embarrassed to wear this thing. I went down to the swim start. I waited till NBC was off filming everybody else. I waited till the other athletes were in the water warming up. It was time to unveil the suit. I went to the edge of the pier where you jump in the water, and just as I was ready to jump in, there was a German triathlete named Jürgen Zach, the best cyclist in the sport in 1995. He was looking up at me, looking up at the suit, shaking his head. He just goes, "Mock, mock, mock." Well, I don't know if it was the suit or the work that I did with Brant or the fact that I had done the right kind of work, but I came out of the water ahead of triathletes I'd never beaten before. I headed out for 112 miles of cycling. 15 miles into the bike ride, I took the lead earlier than I'd ever been in the lead before. To measure my pace so that I had the energy for a good marathon, I had a heart rate monitor because I'd learned through experience if I kept my heart rate at 150 beats a minute or less on the bike, then I'd have the energy to run a very, very fast marathon. When I took the lead, my heart rate was 135 beats a minute, 15 below what I knew I could sustain. In the lead early, low heart rate, this final victory is going to be a piece of cake. Well, right when I thought about how easy it was going to be, the first guy to pass me was Mr. Mock, Mock, Mock Jürgen Zach. And right behind him was a 24-year-old German soldier named Thomas Hellriegel, one of the young guys who had gone 20 minutes faster in his test race than I had in mine. He passed me looking like he was on a motorcycle, and I thought, I can't let these guys go, it's too early. So I upped my pace, but right away my heart rate began to go up, 145, 150, 152. I had to let him go. But I thought, they'll only get 5 minutes on me, maybe in the rest of the bike ride, and that's a gap that I know I can make up. They didn't stick to my ideal race plan. Do your competitors stick to your ideal strategy of how you're going to be the best? No, that's not their job. Their job is to beat you. I came off the bike so far ahead of Hellriegel. He had come into transition. He was out. He was gone. I didn't know what the gap was. But as I was putting on my running shoes, somebody yelled out, "He's 13 and a half minutes ahead of you. Go catch him." I'm thinking, gee, I just saved 10 seconds. I was trying to keep my mind quiet. As I headed out of the run transition area, I did the calculations, and I realized I had to make up 30 seconds a mile, every single mile on that 24-year-old if I was going to catch him at the finish line. I thought there's no possible way I can do that, but I just thought, just stay quiet, draw in as much positive energy from the crowd as you can. When I got to the top of the first hill, there were 3 old ladies who were cheering, looking right at me, and they go, "Go Mark, go Mark, go Mark." Ah, he doesn't look so good. And that thought sunk in, and about a mile later, I felt so bad, I didn't know if I was even going to be able to finish. And then my mind went crazy with all the stuff that doesn't help you out. Hellriegel is so far ahead, there's no way I can catch the guy. Hey, there's the hotel, just... If we quit, there is no chance of completion, is there? Even if we stick with it, if we give up, there is no chance of realizing our dreams and our goals. Now, stepping back to regroup is very different than giving up. But my mind was going crazy. Finally, I got my mind to be quiet, and the answer came. Just take it to the finish line. And I thought, I didn't come here to finish. And then I realized, you know what? The way I feel right now, if I could get to that finish line, that would be a success on this day. And I said, yes, no matter what I have to do, even if I have to walk every step of this marathon, I'm going to get to the Ironman finish line. This is my final Ironman. I want to go out at least as a finisher. And in the instant I made the commitment to finish that race, the guy in 4th place, 10 seconds ahead of me up the road, stopped. He stretched his back. I made a pass, and suddenly the whole world of opportunity began to open back up. I moved from 5th place to 4th place, then eventually into 3rd, and then eventually I passed Mr. Mach Jürgen Zach, and I moved into 2nd. With 8 miles to go, I got a time split. I was 4 minutes behind Thomas Hellriegel. Let me do the math for you. 8 miles to go with a 4-minute gap. I was making up 30 seconds a mile, but I was still only on pace to catch him at the finish line, and that is not a good place to catch a guy who's 13 years younger than you when you're sprinting for the World Championship. I needed something else, but I couldn't find it. Hellriegel, he's so far ahead, I can't even see the guy. My legs are killing me. I just don't think I can do it. Finally, I said, shut up. That is an option. And then the answer came, give it 100% of what you have to give. And I thought, give it 100%, I am. I mean, my legs are killing me. I made up a lot of time. And then I realized, you know what? I am holding back just a little bit. You see, I was waiting for some imaginary billboard to pop out of the lava that said, Mark Allen, if you give 100% of what you have to give, I guarantee you're going to win this race. Those type of guarantees do not exist in the real world, do they? I drew all my energy away from Hellriegel, that thing I couldn't control. I said, no matter what, I'm going to give everything I have here, even if I come in an inch behind Hellriegel, even if I completely blow up. Big Island, help me here. The mile after that, I made up 40 seconds. The one after that, a little over 50. The mile after that, I made up 1 minute and 15 seconds on the guy who had been leading for nearly 6 hours. Finally, I could see Thomas Hellriegel at about mile 20, and at mile 23, I was closing in on him, hoping to make the final pass of my Ironman career. So let me show you one video here as I close in on this incredible young athlete.
The Energy Lab, its very name, often a misnomer, can be the watershed for the bravest of athletes. Thomas Hellriegel is experiencing the loneliest day of his life, and now he faces up for the first time to the man who is haunting him. Mark Allen was once almost 14 minutes back. Like a robot in perfect control of his functions, Allen has moved in. He's just 3.5 minutes behind. This race is down to just 2 men. The brave German attacked in the bike ride to have any chance of winning, but for the first time in 7 hours, his body is objecting to the torture.
Mark Allen has chased Thomas Hellriegel for nearly 6 hours with patience few of us know. Cat and mouse means cunning, tortoise and hare slow and steady, fox and hound respect and eventual victory. They're all alive right here on a road called Queen K. Mark Allen's done much in his career, but nothing equals this. Barring the unimaginable, Mark Allen has just pulled off the greatest comeback in the history of this event. A lot of people questioned his return after a year off, and people do become beatable someday, don't they? Well, they all gave it their best shot. Hellriegel, Zach, Mueller, later Welch, and they all failed. 6 Ironman championships. That'll tie the men's record of Dave Scott. And if this is Allen's final Ironman, he is leaving on top of the game. He said that in every other Ironman he's run, he ran out of anger, feeling he had to prove something or to fill some hole in his life. He said this is the first one he's run for himself. Some things change when you become a father. Some things remain the same. Mark Allen is the 1995 Gatorade Ironman champion.
All right, let's hear it for the old guys. Thank you. I beat Hellriegel by about 2.5 minutes, and if you figure that as a percent of the total amount of time we raced each other, the difference in our times was less than 1/2 of 1%. A very small difference on a very long day, but one that was very significant. So I invite you to use these tools that I shared through my stories today. What is the work your goals are asking you to do to accomplish the success year after this year? What are your 5 Ironman training days going to look like for you? What is that one thing that you know you have to do that you're resisting doing that's ultimately going to help you achieve the dreams you're after? Be willing to make the adjustments not only to how you do your work, but also to develop that internal strength of character so that you're bringing more of who you are into all of the endeavors that you're putting energy into. And ultimately, have that absolute commitment to completion, to giving 100%, even if success looks impossible. Remember, impossible is simply a solution that has yet to present itself. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dirk. Good luck at Unleash. It's been an honor.